What's up, guys? Stas here. So the markets weren't that great today. We had the S&P down 0.7%, Dow down almost 1%, the NASDAQ 100 down 0.5%, and brace yourselves, the Russell was down almost 4%, guys. You can't make this up. And I want to break down what happened today. We're going to take a look at some technicals, go over a bunch of stocks I'm looking to buy, and I also want to share with you guys what I'm holding right now. So go down below, hit the like button, subscribe, make sure to join the Strive Smart Discord chat, get $30 free from M1 Finance. All of those are linked down below, and you guys can check out my Patreon for more access to me, buy and sell alerts, call outs, morning update videos. That is also linked right down below. So what you guys can see right here is the rally we saw yesterday, which was a pretty good rally. The S&P went from 39.15 to about 39.50. That ended up being a bull trap, right? We did not break out of that 39.50 level of resistance. In fact, we hit a lower high point. We ended up dumping off into the close of the market. You guys can see here yesterday, the last hour, power hour yesterday, it was pretty rough. We went from 39.50 to 39.40, a drop of 0.4%, and that continued today, that downside momentum. As you guys can see, we tried breaking 39.50, not once, not twice, but 3 times today, and we failed all 3 times, and we ended up dumping from 39.50 all the way to 3900. We closed at 39.10. That was a drop of over 1% in the latter half of the session. So very bloody day today, and honestly, I mean, it wasn't that bad compared to the Russell. The Russell was just terrible. Again, down almost 4%. Very bad for the small caps today. But still, it was a rough day overall. And like we've been mentioning, the VIX was at a very low point. In the past 6 months, you can see it hasn't gotten much lower than 19, 20, and that's where we were these past couple of days. And I was like, look, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a spike in volatility, and that's exactly what we got. We got to a point where the VIX, it closed up 7%. It was up 12% at one point. The VIX was high. Volatility was kicking today, guys. And we had Powell and Yellen testify in front of Congress today virtually. And we're not going to really talk about that, but some remarks from both Powell and Yellen, it's pretty much Powell sounded like a broken record at this point. He says the same thing every time, but he said one of the things he said the U.S. Central Bank will quote-unquote continue to provide the economy the support it needs for as long as it takes, since we are far from a recovery. The recovery is far from complete. That is one thing he said. And we had Yellen say the passage of President Biden's $1.9 trillion relief package will help people reach the other side of the pandemic, and this will actually impact their lives and keep their lives intact. And we see, and she also said, I believe they will be met there with a growing economy, meaning next year when the pandemic's, over, whenever it wraps up, right? We're getting there slowly. He thinks, or she thinks rather, that they're going to be met there with a growing economy. In fact, she thinks that there's going to be full employment next year. And I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, but we're not talking about me here. We're talking about what she said. And for me, guys, yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I think the economy still has some pain in store. I'm not sure if we're going to be fully recovered even by next year. This damage we've seen the past year, this is going to affect us, I truly believe, for at least 2 years, 3 years into the future. There's definitely going to be some lagging effects. We're slowly seeing that now with inflation and the price of oil going up, which actually went down today. We'll talk about that later in the video. And yeah, VIX is up, S&P's down, Russell down, NASDAQ down. Let's take a look at what is going on at the NASDAQ 100. You guys can see not much. We're failing at about 13,150, 200. We close right above 13,000. So I want to see if this is able to hold. Do we end up, maybe holding about 13K. If not, I think we might test the lows from a couple trading days ago. So watch out for that for the NASDAQ. And going back to the S&P, I mean, look, guys, this is not a good sign. The fact that we dumped off this aggressively, the bull trap from yesterday played out. It ended up being a bull trap. And now we're about to test. Well, we're pretty much at it, 3,900. We did test it. We held it as a closing price today, which is good. But I think if we end up breaking 3,900 tomorrow or anytime this week, we end up breaking 3,880, which was support 2 trading days ago. That's going to be very bad, very bad, very, very bad for the S&P. Technically, I mean, I think we might be going lower 3,800s at that point. So there's definitely some downside in store based on what we're seeing here. And of course, we just have to see what happens at 3,900 tomorrow and the next couple of days to determine further directions. So what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. I would love to know as always. I mean, this market is freaking crazy. We have the 10-year going down. I mean, inflation is coming. Are they going to hike the interest rates sooner than what we think? And by they, I mean the Federal Reserve. There's just so much going on right now. But the truth is, as a long-term investor, and I am both a long-term investor and a trader, but from a long-term perspective, you just have to ride the wave, right? This is just part of the game. There's going to be a bunch of crap going on, but you just have to stay the course, and that is what I'm doing. And in fact, I'm going to be buying stocks this week. I mean, I'm going to be adding to my long-term positions. You know, I'm not scared because of what's going on, and if the market goes down, I'll be buying more, right? That's just the truth. And again, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And as for what I'm doing today, guys, I mean, I didn't do much at all. I'm super close to adding one stock. It's CRM. I was talking about it on Patreon earlier today. It was right by my price alert, 217. We didn't break out of it, but I think once we do, and I'm being very patient, and this is what I'm waiting for, I personally don't have to trade every day. I mean, I like waiting for opportunities, and today it didn't present itself, but I think once 217 breaks, we'll be able to make a move on CRM, probably to 225, 30, 245, and if you guys pull back on this 4-hour chart, you can see 245 is the resistance of the downtrending channel, and ultimately that is where I think this is going to end up. I really think that's going to happen, and that is why I was talking about it on Patreon earlier and why I'm super close to buying it. And other than that, I'm in Tesla, which Tesla today, you guys can see, went down 1%. Didn't do much. You know, Tattooed Chef is another one, which it's, you know, fighting in this inverse head and shoulder. It closed above 20. Neo, ChargePoint. These are a couple of stocks I'm holding in my swing portfolio, guys. More longer-term swings here. And that's pretty much it. You know, not much crazy movement here in my swing account. But when it comes to my long-term investments, again, guys, I'm staying the course. I'm going to be adding some stocks. Go check out my M1 Finance video from a couple days ago. I'll link it down below. Make sure to check that out because those are some stocks that I'm buying in that account, right? And yeah, I'd love to know what you guys are doing. Let me know in the comments, stocks you're buying, moves you're making. And if I were to pick one stock that I'm focusing on pretty heavily right now, it's going to be Tesla, and that's for my swing portfolio, guys. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't done so already. That really shows me support, and I truly appreciate you guys if you do that. It just helps me out really in the YouTube algorithm. And let's talk about some stocks now. A lot of these reported earnings. Gamestop is number one, GME, and they are literally a roller coaster after hours. It closed down 6% today, closed above 180. And on the hourly chart, actually, no, let's go to that intraday chart. You guys can see it went up from 180, it went up to 198. Now it's all the way down to 173. It hit a low of 166. So this thing has been moving in the 10 to 15% range. It's been swinging up and down in that range. And I personally think this volatility is here to stay, at least for the next couple of days. And they reported earnings that maybe weren't that great, hence why the stock's down. They did EPS of $1.34 versus $1.35, so they came a little bit under estimates. And revenue came in at $2.12 billion versus $2.21 billion estimated. So they missed on revenue, they missed EPS, and the stock's down. Now it's squeezing back up, and who knows? This could end up going straight to $200 plus again. Very possible. Although the short interest is a lot lower than what it once was, it still could catch on fire. I think it might not go back to 500. We might not see a short squeeze of that magnitude, but I think it could go back 200, 250 even, maybe 300. So watch out for GameStop, and I'd say 200 is a big point coming up, 195, 200, which was that old high from back in the end of February, and we're now under that point. So for bulls to gain momentum, 195, 200 needs to break, and I'm watching it pretty dang closely. That is GameStop, ticker symbol GME. GNOG is another one, Golden Nugget Online Gaming, and I really hope this stock goes down lower because I want to buy some. And by the way, I made a video on this one earlier today. I'll link that video down below in the description box. We talk more about their previous earnings report. Well, really, how they did in 2020, the growth numbers. I broke down my thoughts on the stock more in depth. It's a 10-minute video all on Golden Nugget Online Gaming. Go check that out, linked right down below. And now the stock, it went down to $16 today. It went down almost 4%. And after hours, it's down a little bit more. In fact, it got down to $15.50. Now it's at $15.90. And again, I would love to see this lower. I mean, to get in as a long-term investment, bring on the lower price. Come on, I want that lower price. I'd buy anything from $12, $13, under $15 would be awesome. So I'm watching GNOG here, and their revenue is pretty decent. Q4 revenue came in at $23 million versus $22.3 million. So I like that. They beat revenue estimates. And let me see on the live news tab if anything new has come out here. No, it hasn't. So we'll see guidance. I'll probably tune in to that earnings call. It's probably it's probably now even. I might have to tune into the rerun. But GNOG is looking pretty decent. Earnings are solid. And technically speaking, I want to see if we're able to break out of this particular support, or rather resistance, at about $17. And if we're able to hold right around $15, $16 as a higher low. I mean that would be ideal. If we end up holding this point and ripping out towards 17 plus, we fill the gap to 19, that would be ideal, but we're just not showing signs of that yet, which is why from a trading perspective, I'm not rushing into it quite yet. And from a long-term perspective, again, like I said, if it comes down lower, that's music to my ears. So either way, it's a win-win, because if it rips up higher, I might still add as a long-term investment, but I'll get in as a swing trade as well. And if it dumps lower, I'll get in as a long-term investment at a cheaper price, but I might not swing trade it quite yet. So again, it's kind of like a win-win. And Adobe also reported today is it DBE or B? Yeah, I always mix that up. It's ADBE. Adobe. This is a company that closed today at $460 per share, and you can see after hours it got down to $440, guys. That was a pretty low price. It swung back up to $470, so this one's very volatile after hours. It's moving in a range of 5 to 6% from the lower to the higher end here, and now it's kind of consolidating at about $460, and they reported pretty strong earnings, at least from the brief numbers that I looked at, EPS came in at $3.14. Revenue came in, or rather that was versus the 278 estimated, and revenue came in at $3.91 billion versus, let me take a look here, guys, $3.76 billion estimated. So double beat when it comes to EPS and revenue, so that's awesome. And they also raised guidance for both revenue and EPS for the full year 2021, so that's also good. And the stock, again, it's pretty much at the price it closed at, although we've seen a lot of volatility after hours, like I said. And look at these technicals, guys. Look, we called this out on Patreon a couple days. That might have been that was yesterday morning. We called this out on Patreon. Again, that's linked down below. This went from 445 to where we called it out to about 460. I talked about the 450 to 460 gap. It filled that. It actually broke 460 today, guys. Where did it get to? 468 even? 467? Yeah, that's after hours, but earlier in the day, yeah, it got to 467. So it broke 460, pretty much filled the gap up to 470. And now I'm going to call it out and say, with this earnings report, it was pretty solid. Guidance is there. I like it. I'm happy with it. I can see the gap from 470 ultimately to 510 fill, and it might not fill in a week, 2 weeks. In fact, I doubt it does fill that quick, but I mean, yeah, it might in 2 weeks. But I'm looking at this as in 1, 2, 3 months out, I would be pretty confident that this would fill from 470 to maybe 480, 490, 500, 510, on the higher end. So I like Adobe here as a longer-term swing. I'm not hopping in quite yet, but I'm going to set an alert at 470. If that breaks, I'd feel confident as momentum is slowly shifting up, right? So 470, let me set that, is at or above. There we go. Shopify is another one. SHOP, let me pull this up. Shopify, we ended up holding today and for the past couple of days, in fact, above 1150, 1100, right around that general area. And that's a very good sign considering over the past year. I mean, look at this yearly chart. 1100, that's been a big resistance on Shopify. And if you guys have been following my channel for months, probably at least a half a year at this point, we called out this overall breakout on Shopify. I mean, don't you guys remember me talking about the ascending triangle I was noticing a couple months ago that was forming on this chart? And I said if 1150, 1100 breaks, watch out above. Well, we actually ended up going to $1,500. The ascending triangle broke out. It played out. And now we're pulling back, and we're about to test the resistance of that old ascending triangle. And that is, again, right at about 1100, 1150. And like I said, the past 10 days, 10 trading days, that is, at least, we've been holding that point. Take a look. Like clockwork, we've been holding 1100, 1150 and slowly climbing up. And now we're seeing some headwind at about 1175, 1190. So in the short term, I'd like to see a break above that point. And going back to that 4 hour, I believe if we break 1175, 1190, we're going to fill the gap straight to 1250, followed by 1300. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. And 1300 is probably going to bring some resistance, some headwind for Shopify. And I wouldn't be surprised if it did, right? So watch out for Shopify. There's upside. And who knows, if 1300 broke, we might see a massive leg up from there, and it could go even higher. So XOM is another one. Like I said, oil has been doing well. Oil's been going up, hence why the gas prices pretty much everywhere, at least around me in the United States, they've been going up. Gas prices have been just going crazy. And Exxon, excuse me, guys, Exxon has been doing well. And this is one that I bought at 42, 45. You guys know that. Rode it up to 62. I'm still in. And now we're actually approaching a buy point. This 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart, right around 55. Is this not the level we called out a week, 2 weeks ago as we started to tippy top on XOM? Now we're pretty much there. That's actually a resistance from back in June of 2020, right around 55. So I expect this to hold, and maybe we see a relief rally. If it doesn't hold, XOM might go to about 52, and like I've mentioned before, that is probably where I'd start averaging up in my long-term account at about 50, 52. If it gets back under 50, I'd even go heavier there. So XOM, I like this dip. Overall, I think crude is going to rebound. We are seeing a drop today because overall, the CV is resurging in Europe, right? And that is obviously with the lockdowns, the shutdowns, demand for this oil might go down a little bit over there, which affects really everywhere's price for the most part. It affects the big companies' prices, right? And that is kind of what we're seeing here. And the dollar has been strengthening as well. So I don't know if this is going to last for long. I really don't think it is. In fact, like I said, I think crude oil is going to bounce back. $57, 58, $60 is a big spot. So I think if we show recovery signs above 58.60, that's going to be a good sign of a pushback up. And then XOM, like I said, might do well from that point. And I'm going to be adding more if it gets to the low 50s. So I like XOM here. Amazon is another one, which I believe was green today. Yeah, look at that, up 0.9%. And shout out my Google, guys. My good old Google was also green today. I love freaking Google stock. That might, like I've said, that might be my favorite stock right now, Google. It's grown a lot on me because a couple of years ago, I was kind of like an Apple fanboy. I still love Apple. I have a lot of Apple devices. But the past couple of years, as I got more into YouTube, right, making money on YouTube, a lot of people have been making money on YouTube, just seeing the platform grow. I'm like, why am I not invested heavier in Google? And yeah, let's just say I've been buying Google in my accounts, and I just love the company, and it's a great investment in my humble opinion, long term. And so is Amazon for that fact, as a matter of fact, guys. And in terms of the technicals, this inverse head and shoulder is playing out. Left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. Now we're pushing up. We're kind of completing the right shoulder, although I still think there's juice left in the right shoulder to about 32.40, maybe 32.50. That's about 2% higher from where we are right now. And if 32.50 breaks, we'd probably go to 33.50, meaning there's at least a couple percentage points here for Amazon. But then again, with the markets rocky, volatility's here, and it might be here for a little bit, I'm going to be very, very cautious. Like I've been saying, guys, I'm not forcing anything. But if the technicals line up, which Amazon's are at this point, I might just pull the trade. I might pull the trigger and take the trade. And the last stock for today is good old CL, also known as Colgate-Palmolive. And I'm not sure why we saw such a ridiculous pop today in the stock, and it only went up 2.6%. Some of you guys out there, you're like, that's not ridiculous. But when it comes to a company like Colgate-Palmolive, for God's sake, guys, they sell toothpaste, and they sell other products, obviously, but they sell toothpaste. A 3% move in a company that sells toothpaste, that is pretty freaking good in my opinion, right? And we're right under the 180 SMA on this 4-hour chart, to the point where I think this could be a point of momentum shift. This stock has been downtrending for quite some time. We've seen a clear rotation out of it. Now are people coming back in? It's down 13, 12%. They pay a decent dividend. Are people, investors, traders, funds, institutions, are they coming back in? This very well could be an early sign of that. And I think if 78 breaks, which was a support a couple weeks ago, right? If 78 breaks, I think 80 is going to come, followed by probably 81.50. So these are a couple levels I'm watching on CL, and we're going to wrap it up there. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. Let's try to get at least, come on guys, 300 likes. Hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well, and don't forget to get your free money down below. You can get $30 from M1 Finance. All you have to do is use my link, deposit any amount of money, and we each get $30 free. And you can get 2 stocks from WeBull. Those are valued up to $1,600. And you can also check out my Patreon for buy and sell alerts, call outs, morning update videos, more access to me. All of those are linked right down below. And if you guys want more content, check out Twitter, check out my TikTok. I'm actually doing more content on TikTok now. Those are at Stasserfest, Stasserfest, all one. Just go follow me on there. So I'll catch you all, and on Instagram for that matter. So I'll catch you all in the next video, which is that GNOG video. Go check it out down below. Make sure to go watch that. Yeah, I'll see you guys there. I'll catch you all in that video. Thanks for watching as always. Stay safe, guys. Peace out.